Big Z Reviews. The Last Duel is Ridley Scott's newest film, and it's getting relatively a lot of good reviews, but I found it to be pretty bad.
A most unspeakable charge has been brought against you.
Jacques Legris entered our home. He attacked me.
The accusation is false.
I say before all of you, I spoke the truth.
So this screenplay was partially written by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon, and they also star in it, especially Matt Damon. And Matt Damon is one of the worst parts of the movie, because his acting is some of the worst acting from him I've seen, I think. But it's not horrible, but what makes it worse is that he has a mullet and varying degrees of fake facial hair. Like, all of it looks horrible, but it's like a mullet wig and a goatee wig, and it looks laughable. And also, Ben Affleck is also in it as like a womanizing lord that hates Matt Damon and it had a man crush on Adam Driver, Squire, and they bang a bunch of broads in the Middle Ages. And he also had a very bad fake goatee. And it's like, I can't imagine that they looked at that and they said, "Oh, this looks good." And you know, if you're into the hemisphere, like I am, like not deeply into it, because like I'm rural Pennsylvania, so there's no HEMA clubs around me, and I'm fat, even though I'm correcting that slowly. But I follow a lot of the HEMA, historical European martial arts, people on YouTube. Like, for example, Scala Gladiatoria is probably the best of them. But a couple of them have discussed this movie, The Last Duel, previously, just from the trailers. And I'll say that it definitely continues throughout the whole movie with idiotic armor choices. Like, the funniest one, and one in the trailer, like, the big moment in this movie, the duel that movie is about, they have, like, their helmet is like a half face mask. It's so weird. And there's like no, like, any usage of that in history. And it's so idiotic. Like, hey, do you want to protect your whole face or just half of your face? Just half. And the funniest thing is that, you know, you have to make excuses for. Oh, it's for the, you have to see, it's Hollywood. You have to see the actors' faces. You have to see Matt Damon's horrible facial hair. And you have to see Adam Driver, which his facial hair never changes throughout the movie and is real. So, but the weirdest thing is, they kind of lose their helmets, like a minute in. One of them loses the face mask part of the helmet, and the other loses the helmet completely. And then the guy that just had lost face mask also loses his helmet completely in another minute. So it's like, you could have had accurate armor. Like, they had to spend like millions and millions of dollars on this movie, and the armor is laughable. Like, it's so all over the place for the ages. Like, even like throughout, like, they have plate armor, but I think it's mostly too early for plate armor, I believe. But then, like, even in the final big duel, they're both wearing, one is wearing a red brigandine, and the other is wearing like a blue brigandine, like a coat of plates. And then they have like fully encased leg armor, and it greaves. Then they have these rubber pauldrons and rubber arm armor, and like obviously spray painted rubber. And and then the helmets, there is no helmet like they use. Like, throughout the movie, they have these weird buckets that they're wearing. That, like, I think they're trying to slightly be like a salet, or salad. I think it's salet, but it's a French word. This is in France. But they're not, and like none of them have face masks. So that's actually, maybe it's good that they have a half face mask for the duel. but like that's like they're so ill-fitting. They feel like buckets, or like stormtrooper helmets or something. Like they look so bad, and it's and I just don't get it. Like they could have. Like I don't think it would have cost much more to have accurate armor. Like it looks like bad, armor that you see at a not like a bad Renaissance fair, like the restaurant. Like it looks, it's not even close to being historically accurate, and it just looks like, I mean, like all of the armor that you see does not go to the natural waist. Like the actual armor, so you can bend over, has to end like above your belly button, well above it. And then this armor goes down to almost your groin, I swear. Like, it goes down. It's like the bad armor that you see, that you buy from, I don't know. It's just, it took me out of the film. But that's not even the weirdest part of this film. And you know, it says directed by Ridley Scott, but if I didn't know that, I could never say that it was directed by Ridley Scott. It doesn't feel like a Ridley Scott film. There's nothing inspiring about it. There's nothing it just looks like, I wouldn't be surprised if he had an assistant director that directed the entire film. I mean, he's old, and he doesn't give a shit anymore, I think. But the whole framing of it is that there's like a book 1, book 2, book 3, and like book 1 is from Matt Damon's perspective, and book 2 is from Adam Driver's perspective, and book 3 is from Jodie Comer's perspective. And like the first one, like Matt Damon, like if that's where most of the medieval battles are, and the battles aren't bad. They're like they're very tropey, but they're enjoyable. But they're all like they only get 2 or 3 minutes of like the beginning of the battles, and then they kind of end, and it goes to the aftermath. And it's just like it was almost like they used them so they could show them in the trailers. But I mean, that's probably where a lot of the money was. Like I don't know why. Like that, but that wasn't the point of the film. Like it's just kind of showing that he's off fighting battles while, like, before he meets his wife, and then after he meets his wife, and like she's at home like pining for him, or like, you know. And then the second part is like the whole idea of this film is that like there haven't been duels much, and then the nightly duels, and then this is a nightly duel because Adam Driver rapes his wife, Jodie Comer, and like they have a duel because like essentially rape isn't illegal, kind of, except that it's that you took someone else's property. So like, but of course the Lord is Ben Affleck is bros with Adam Driver, so they're gonna put, even though he did rape her, he isn't gonna do anything about it. So he takes it to the King of France, and like they have a duel, and. Look, obviously this is all in English. They're mostly American actors, and the accents are kind of all over the place. But the funniest thing, especially in Matt Damon's section, is like when they have to say the French names of people or places, and it's like, oh, should have tried a little harder there. But like Matt Damon's one, I enjoyed that part of the story. Like, I mean, it has battles and stuff, and he's kind of douchey, but he's not horrible. But then you get to Adam Driver's part, and it's like, that's the oddest parts of the movie. Just because I feel like I didn't need to see that. Like, I feel like overall, they could have merged all these stories and told a much more interesting movie. Like, a much more creative movie if you, like, did it there's the idea, like, it's in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia or something. They have the episodes where you see it from different perspectives or something. It's like that a little bit. But like in this, like Adam Driver, in his version of events, he clearly rapes Jodie Comer. Like, and this, the only thing is that you see early on when he's with Ben Affleck, they play this rape game where they enjoy, like, where they pick up the woman who's like protesting, like, no, and they run around and they rape her on the bed. But that's like a game they play, and it's like, but then he like, I guess they're trying to say that he thinks that's what he's doing with Jodie Comer, is like he's playing the rape game. But then when the third part of the movie is probably the best part, and that's, they say, like, the truth according to Marguerite de Carouge. Like, then all the words fade, and the truth it stays bold. So it's like, this is what really happened. And like and this part is like all the others is full of tropes and not original. But this one is kind of the most original part of the film, because it's kind of like her as as a girl boss in the Middle Ages. Because like while Matt Damon's off to war, she's like running the estate and like having issues with her bitchy mother-in-law and her friend that might be a bitch too, but there's more interesting stuff. And you see, like, for like, there's not that many viewpoints. Nothing changes that much between all three, which I think that they didn't have to show them. Like, the most important moment, I think, is when Adam Driver and Jodie Comer meet, and Matt Damon tells her to give him a kiss, to kind of show that their beefs, to bury the hatchet. Like, they're saying that, oh, beefs are done. We squashed the beef. You know, like, but then, like, Matt Damon sees and doesn't think much of, like, and Adam Driver thinks like a passionate kiss he gives her, and he falls in love with her, and she just thinks of like not much of a kiss either. But like, then the other big moment is the rape, and from Adam Driver's viewpoint, it's not much different than you have to watch the brutal rape twice. And one time it's like a boys will be boys thing, where like Adam Driver is having fun doing a rape. And then the Jodie Comer one, from her viewpoint, is horrific. Like, both times is horrific, but like the biggest changes are when she's running away from him up the stairs frantically, trying to escape him after he like broke into their castle through means of deception. Like, in Adam Driver's version, she takes off her shoes and leaves them at the bottom of the stairs. Almost like they're playing, ooh, follow me, I'm taking off my clothes slowly, bit by bit. But like in her version, you see she's frantically running up the stairs and her shoes fall off as she's stumbling. And then I think that her screams are more horrific while he's chasing her around the room and while he's raping her. And like, but other than that, it's the same. And it's also like after spoilers a bit, but I mean, it's based on real events. But I'm doing the spoilers to talk about what's weird about this film. But like after he rapes her, he's like, "Oh, don't tell anyone about this. If no one understands, your husband will put you to death." And like his version is more like a love of, no, don't do it. Keep our love silent, I think they're trying to say. But then for her version, it's much more threatening. Like, you're gonna die if you talk about this bitch. Like but it's the same. It's so weird. Like, I don't know. Like, and then they have like the whole trial, and the trial is more like she has to fight misogyny and rape culture in the Dark Ages, but that's kind of interesting. You have this young French king, and it's like all these, like, the clergy gets involved because Adam Driver was once was training to be a member of the clergy. But there's some interesting stuff here. But it's something about it is so weird that like I wish they would have combined it more, did something more interesting with it instead of splitting up into like 3 parts of the film. Like, it didn't need to do that. And like there's not that much different in them, you know. And it's like, I think there's a story you could have told where Matt Damon was more heroic. Like, he didn't have to, but they try to make him as much as they can look like a bumbling fool. Like, in all their versions, especially in Adam Driver's version and Jodie Comer's version. And, I don't know, it's odd. It's an odd film, and it's so uninspired by Ridley Scott. And I think Jodie Comer is the best part of it. I think her acting is great. And, like, there's some interesting stuff with her storyline. But, like, and then the final duel, it's not bad. I enjoyed the duel, but I think that it's kind of brutal, some of the stuff with it. But I think that the choreography isn't special. If you're going to have a movie called The Last Duel, I think they could have done more with the choreography. Like, it's brutal, and then it's not, like, a lot of it doesn't seem that knightly, almost. But I like it how brutal it is. But, like, I feel like they could have done more for it. But, like, as a whole, it feels long. I think it felt so long because it was split into 3 parts. Like, you didn't have to. You could have merged them and cut, like, 15 20 minutes off this film, I think. And again, and all, like, I don't mind, like, some of the, like, everything has to be so, like, dark and sober and like, that's how we picture the Dark Ages. But honestly, back then, those nobles fucking loved color. They were gaudy as shit. Like, they did not match our modern day sensibilities. But I understand that you don't really want to do that all the time because, like, you might feel weird about, like, you think that looks weird, but, like, it's so dirty and grim. And like, and then their armor, the rubber armor, and they even try to make it look dirty. Like, these knights were going on like a big event. They would have like the best armor they've had, you know. And it's like, and too, the armor is so samey. It's like they went to the same person that they're issued it or something. And again, the timelines of the armor is so mixed. But I'm not an expert at that. I'm sure, like, once this movie comes out, like, and people, you can upload versions of it. Like, I'm sure it might be blocked on YouTube, but they do it though. But I'm sure there'd be breakdowns of it that you'd be search for and be really interesting and show how bad it is. But I know enough to know it's bad. And as a whole, this movie is just kind of bad. Like, like I said, all the bad wigs, the mullet wig on Matt Damon and the bad facial hair wig, it just really drew me out of it. But, like, I like Jodie Comer's part of the story, and she did really well. But as a whole, it's just, it's pretty bad. I'd probably give, like, a 6 out of 10. But thanks for watching. If you want to see more of me, you can subscribe down below. Thanks.